So I've talked about this before, but I want to once again reiterate the effects of this COVID-19 uh, pandemic and how it's affected pretty much everybody on Earth. It's amazing to me because I've done videos about this past few weeks, speakdoms and whatnot, about, telling people to kind of, think positive and sort of be like, hey, we're going to get past this because, this pandemic doesn't care what ethnicity you are, what political beliefs you are. You can get it. And it's a very real thing because I know somebody IRL who got it, who's not a conspirazoid, who's not working for the government or any of that nonsense. And I love conspiracies. I love reading up on them, but this is very real. I mean, I know if I didn't know somebody who was actually sick from it, I would also be a little skeptical. But no, I know someone who got sick from it, and so it's a real thing. Now, it's had a major effect on us financially and emotionally. And it's created this kind of thing called cabin fever. And I've been dealing with it for a while myself. It's one thing to feel lonely. It's one thing to feel alone and to not really be around people for a while. Because, sometimes you work from home like how I do. I have a home office, and sometimes you're alone there. Even if you have a spouse or if you have a roommate, they might be at work when you're at home. I mean, there's different variables here. Now things are a little bit different because at least when, in those days you can go out to a restaurant, you could go out to, a movie, you know what I mean? And when you do these things, you kind of forget that. You just kind of get lost in the movie or lost in your meal and you have that sort of break. Same thing with if you go out and you play a sport, you go to the gym, you work out, you kind of get your brain, even though you might have a podcast on or you might be thinking about your problems, you still kind of get focused on, how many reps am I doing? You're focused on working on your physique and working on your health. But here, we have to do that from home, and we can't even go out and go to movies, can't even do anything. So it tends to lead to us sort of behaving irrationally and doing and saying things that we either don't mean or that we aren't really sure what we're talking about. Sometimes we say delusional things that don't make any sense. And we have that sort of fear of just being stuck in the house all the time. We're not meant to be this way as creatures, but I want to reiterate that this is one of the only times in our lifetime, well, it's the only time in our lifetime, no matter if you're 30, 20, or if you're 60, where we've had a situation like this, ever. And, you're not alone. And it amazes me how, in the past week or so, I've been keeping my eye on things. And even in the past week, there have been still, even with the problems in the world, there are still people who are on the internet acting like assholes, being trolls, being fucking dirtbags to other people for no reason other than the fact that there's something wrong with them. I've said this before. I've talked to several psychotherapists and psychologists in my lifetime, and they all say the same thing. People on the internet who troll others, who insult others, they do it because they're the ones missing something in their life. It's been scientifically proven, and you can't argue with that science. So if you're coming at someone on the internet talking trash, I thought this coronavirus thing was going to maybe, alleviate some of that. And maybe people would be more focused on kind of us coming together as a species and being better people. But these people are so emotionally in pain. They are so emotionally scarred by something that happened to them, by feeling left out, or maybe it is cabin fever. Maybe they were bullied when they were younger. Maybe they were abused. You don't behave this way unless you have some real development issues, right? But there's people who are still doing it. So to me, it's not one of those things where I think the human race is cursed and doomed to be this way forever. But I do think and hope that this coronavirus thing would be a reality check for a lot of people. And for those who it's not, then they need psychological help. And that's a fact. They need help. Because if this situation does not bring you back to reality and make you realize how fragile life is and make you appreciate the things that you take for granted, like getting on an airplane, going to the movies, going to the gym, things that we used to be able to do on a daily basis at one point. Maybe not get on a plane, but going to the gym, going to the movies. You can do that every day if you want. You really could. Being able to have that freedom and not being able to do it, you would think that would snap you back to reality and say, damn, I'm going to appreciate everything. I'm going to appreciate the hugs from my loved one, the kisses from my girlfriend who happens to be in a long distance relationship with me or whatever, whatever your personal situation might be. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's different. Or sometimes being cooped up in the house with your spouse is going to make it worse. You know what I mean? It could make it worse, you know? You might be one of those guys who's like, you know, I'm fighting with my wife all the time because we're always together. You know, there's always pros and cons to everything, but you would think that going back to normalcy would be something that would be appreciated by everyone. And unfortunately, because there are people out there who have serious emotional scarring, and I am in no way going to feel too sorry for them, only because there are better ways to manifest that, like doing something productive instead of being an asshole and going on the internet talking shit. They are not a reflection of the gross greatness of humanity. They're not a reflection on who we are as people. You know what I mean? They are hateful towards others because they are internally hating themselves. And it's been scientifically proven. They can sit there and argue all they want to about it. They're not going to be able to argue against people who are smarter than them. Right? But I want all of you out there to be encouraged by this message to say, you know what? I think most people now, I think this is a reality check. And I'll be honest, I feel like, you know, I heard Joey Coco Diaz talk about how he thinks that this was, in a weird way, I'm not going to misquote him, but understand what he was trying to say, that this is kind of a reality check for people, how the average American family can't even go to a sporting event because it's too expensive. You can't take like, let's say you're married and have 2 kids. You can't take, you know how expensive it is to take your wife and 2 kids just to go see a movie? The movie by itself, even with an AMC Stubs, let's say you don't have one, it's $12 a person, plus popcorn, plus drinks. Like, you know, you're not going to be able to go to a movie with a kid without popcorn and drinks or candy or whatever they want. You're going to end up paying like $60. Legit, like $60 for everything or more. So think about that. $60 for one movie, like it better be a damn good one. So, are things overpriced in the world? Yeah, maybe. I think that's what he was getting to. You know, Disney charging $120 against their park, you know, and yet they're over here complaining about losing millions, which, okay, great, but Disney's always made money, so is it really that big of a loss? I get where he's coming from. I get it. But I do hope that after all this is over, that we're going to, the ones that aren't completely jacked up, like the people who tend to still be assholes during the pandemic, I hope that when all this is done, that people learn to just be better people and for us to appreciate each other more. Because luckily at this state, as of right now, okay, I am one of the people who has not lost anybody to COVID-19. None of my friends or family have died because of COVID-19, right? But it could happen any day now. It could happen next month. I can't predict the future. So it's one of those things where I'm blessed that it hasn't taken somebody away from me permanently, but that fear of that happening is there, and that sort of anxiety of, I hope my friends are okay, you know, because I have friends all over the country. I hope that they're genuinely doing well. And I hope that many of you kind of take that and say, you know, we need to appreciate each other more. Now is the time to do it. And we can't forget this. Like, I think as a species, this is one of those things that should not be forgotten. We should not be forgetting this anytime soon, because it's a very impactful thing. Even when 9/11 happened and things like that, you know, other, I guess, calamities, I don't know what to call them in the world. You know, even when these things happen, like, you know, 9/11 was scary when it happened. I was in high school when it happened. But afterward, you know, it was a little crazy for a few weeks, but then things kind of went back to normal. We were able to go back to school right away. I think we went back to school the next day, actually. I don't really remember. It's been a long time. But, you know, there was fear in the air, but it quickly went away. With this, we're not facing an enemy like a terrorist. This is an actual microscopic enemy that could take you out. And you can't fight it. You can't sit there and equip yourself with weaponry to fight this thing in combat. You can't. This thing can take you out without you even being able to even swing at it. And that's a scary thought, yo. So I'm hoping that at the end of the day, as a species, we all come together. And I want to give you an encouraging message that it's affected all of us, but things are going to get better. If you're a business owner, I know that you're struggling right now. I get it. You know, my income has been affected by this. A lot of people's income has been affected by this. I'm still doing okay, but obviously with coronavirus, you know, everybody on YouTube is, and they might not admit this to you, but it's a fact. Everyone on YouTube is making less money now than they were a month ago because of the fact that, you know, the ad revenue and the ad rates are lower because of the cancellation of movies and restaurants and things like that. That's a factual statement. Everyone across the board is. I'm still doing okay. I still have everything paid. I'm fine. But there are other creators and business owners who are doing pretty bad. So I just want to tell all y'all to keep your head up and that we'll get past this. It is temporary, and I know that it feels like it's never going to end. I know that it feels like we're going to be stuck here forever, but we won't be. We absolutely will not be. This is not the end of the human race, dude. Trust me. I don't see this being the end at all. The pandemic is real, but it's not the end of us. And the best thing to do is to just kind of, put your hands up, like a fighter, and just keep fighting, keep swinging, keep doing the best you can, keep working on improving yourself and, improving your way of life and the way you think about things and your interactions with human beings and learning about humanity, because it's a beautiful thing, and that's my message for today in this Speakdom. I hope that I reached you, and I hope that you understand where I'm coming from, and yeah, thank you. We'll talk soon.